There was a light in front of us, and then, like, as if you would change a TV channel, I instantly went to another. It was in a circular room. There were countertops all around it, and it seemed like every surface, the walls, the floor, the countertops, all were alight. It was like the whole room was just one big light, and I was completely naked, and I wanted to walk forward, and as I walked forward, my head got pulled back, and I had this immense pain going all through my head and, like, towards the back of my neck, and that's all I can recall. That's all I was able to recall.
All right, I want to introduce also paranormal investigator and skeptic Joe Nickel. Joe, appreciate you being here. What do you make of this, Joe? Because, I mean, as a reporter, unless I see facts or evidence, I have a hard time believing stuff like this.
Well, you know, one sympathy goes to people who have had an unusual experience. It's disconcerting, and I'm sure it's causing a great deal of trouble in their lives. But I think it's not aliens visiting us. You have to ask yourself, why would extraterrestrials traveling tremendous distances to the planet Earth on some secret mission hover over Denise's backyard with their bright lights on? It really defies any kind of logic. And our air defense is unaware of this and so forth. So you have to ask yourself what's really happening. And I think it's a mixture.
What do you say to Denise then?
Well, I think what happened with Denise probably is that she was awakened. She probably was not fully awake, and so she was in a state more receptive to seeing something mystical. And I think that she saw something very bright in the sky. We all know about stars twinkling. Planets can do it with turbulence. You get these bright lights, and she had described the red, the shift to green and so forth, all this. So far, we're just talking about some bright light.
Denise, what about that?
I don't agree.
Well, I think I know what bright light. I think that, in fact, where she was looking at on those occasions, there was something 50 times brighter than the stars around it, and that was Jupiter. And I expect that she saw Jupiter and stared at it and saw it moving around.
So
and the rest
Jupiter dumped stuff on my trees? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's a different issue. I expect that the stuff on your trees was probably you saw some sand or something in the light.
Denise, though, it's upsetting to have somebody not believe you.
I'm used to both sides. I've had a lot of support, but the negativity is where you think that I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm 52 years old. I know what I'm talking about. I wasn't looking for UFOs. I don't believe in UFOs, and it happened to me. And if you want to believe, then you believe. If you don't...
John, what do you make of what Joe said?
Well, we're talking about cases here where they see a UFO that's 50, 100, 200 feet away. That's a close encounter of the second kind. That's not Jupiter. Jupiter's 5,000 times larger than Earth. You know.
And so, but to Joe's point about air defenses not being aware of this, are you saying that the government's part of some sort of conspiracy to
I would go right on the record now and say that our government knows about this, that they are monitoring it. They monitor everything, Anderson. Every cell phone call,
right, but don't
satellite listening posts.
I'm not a big believer in conspiracies because I don't think our government is very good, frankly, at keeping secrets. So something like this.
That's not true. Well, Anderson, that's not true. We kept the Manhattan Project secret during World War II, and we've kept secrets
that was
when
during
they were
World War II. This is a very different age where we know everything about the raid on bin Laden. You know, that started to leak out very quickly after it occurred. So it's very difficult to keep secrets. What do you make of this?
Well, I'd like to believe. I really would like to believe. It
would be cool.
It would be way cool.
Amazing. Yeah.
Way cool. But I also recognize what we're concentrating on here are issues in North America. And I work in aviation and space, and living in the high desert in California, you see issues on a regular basis that you really can't explain. What I'm curious about, perhaps your guests know more, in India, there are many more sightings that are going on. One of the things that's coming up now is because of the advances in the Indian nation with aviation and space. And so there's more activity.
They're sending up satellites. There's a lot more satellites circling around.
So I'm just curious as if you're seeing outside
Joe, I mean,
North America.
Is this kind of an American phenomenon of all these sightings?
Well, it's certainly, Anderson, in America that we've developed this into really a true mythology. We have now supernormal beings interacting with humans in ways that are cosmically important. And even with religious overtones, I mean, people who are in contact with the Space Brothers and so forth. This is something quite different than we see on that scale in other countries.
But I mean, with Jennifer and Brittany, they were together. Are you saying that they're both making this up? That they're kind of colluded on their stories?
I do not. I take them at their word. I think they've been victimized. Let me say this very forcefully. I think that MUFON or anyone who's having people hypnotized to ask them to remember being abducted by aliens, I think this is a travesty. I think it ought to stop today, because there's no evidence that people, in fact, remember any such things like past lives or aliens. What they're doing is confusing memory and imagination.
We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have more of this discussion. We're also going to meet a woman who says she can communicate telepathically with extraterrestrials. Find out if she's able to connect me with my star family. That's next.
Coming up, do aliens exist? Does she have the photos to prove it?
They went on my computers, confiscated photographs that I did take that night.
Plus the relatives I never knew I had.
So I'm from another planet, and my star family decided to stay, and I decided to come down here.
The goodbyes begin.
I don't want you to go.
How will I know?
These kids changed my life.
Glee.
Tonight at 8 on Fox 24.